So I guess we thought since 2020 was a pretty bad year, we still had some stuff that helped us get through it. So
yeah.
We're going to talk about what our favorites anime and manga and also video games were in the awful year that was 2020.
Because some good stuff came out in 2020.
Yep.
Even though it was a shit year, some good stuff came out of it.
Yeah, there was lots of shit you could escape into.
Yeah.
That
was definitely needed, yeah. So, what was your big new coming series? Like your big series that you got into in 2020?
For me, it was probably Gintama. Because I had started it, like, I think a little bit before 2020, but I never really watched it regularly. But by when COVID started, it was actually when COVID started, I was like, okay, I have a lot more free time now. I'm going to focus on one series, like a major series, and try to get that done. And so I focused on Gintama. And that series is like, now it's probably my favorite anime of all time. It's like, I love that anime to death. And I've just been like, I watched it got through 300 plus episodes. But it didn't feel like a chore. It was fun to watch and enjoyed it a lot. But yeah, I'd say Gintama was probably the biggest anime I really watched in 2020 and like watched a lot. And like, it got me through a lot of the early stuff with COVID, especially.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the greatest thing, right? When you dive into something that's that long. For me, my big 2020 discovery was absolutely Jujutsu Kaisen, like no question.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I started reading it for a video, if I remember correctly, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna get like a taste of this so I can make like my impressions video or whatnot, and I read all of it in like 3 days. And I was like, this shit is gas.
It's good.
And so a lot of my 2020. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Julie and I are like anime onlys. Julie and I both. I read the next arc ahead, like the next arc that's about to be animated. I read ahead to that. And I'm probably going to keep reading ahead but I've just been busy with stuff. But especially the anime. The anime is amazing. Like,
yes.
Gosh, the animation quality. MAPPA just did absolutely amazing with that series. Just fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a situation like with One Punch Man Season 1, where like you get a core team of people and that are already very talented, and all of them know other talented people and are like, hey, come over.
Yeah.
Help me out a bit. And yeah, the anime has been fantastic, but honestly, even before the anime was even like properly announced, because the anime timeline for all animes that MAPPA does are so funny, because they're like, we might be doing it for like 2 years, and then suddenly like, we're doing it, have a trailer, have like, key visual. Yeah. So like I got into Jujutsu Kaisen when it was still unknown if MAPPA was even doing it, but even then, like, just going through the manga, I was like, fuck, this is my new obsession.
So for me, and I am a bit behind with all the big anime, but I actually started, first of all, My Hero Academia this year, and it's been absolutely amazing. There he goes with Smiley Boy. But yeah, that was a huge thing for me in early 2020, before quarantine even started. And I've been on and off reading the manga from now, but again, things have been busy, but I definitely plan on picking that back up and like fully reading through it. And yeah, I have several big ones that I got into that I should have gotten into sooner, to be honest. Another one is Haikyuu. That I got into on a plane because I had nothing to do. I downloaded a few episodes. I was like, yeah, maybe. And then I became absolutely obsessed with it for about 5 months.
I'm thankful that she did, because I never watched Haikyuu either, because I was just like, that's a silly sports anime. I didn't think any sports anime could top Hajime no Ippo. Like, I loved that. I loved Hajime no Ippo so much. I was just like, no, none of these other ones can even touch it. And like, she was just so hyped for it and saying how great it was. And I was just like, all right, I'll watch a few episodes with you. And I watched those first few episodes, and I was like, "This is fucking gas! I love this so much." And we started watching it fully, And I don't think we're fully done yet. We need to finish.
No.
We haven't seen the new season yet, so because we've been busy as well. But it's Haikyuu is just hype. Like it's just that pure serotonin of an anime. Like it just gives you that adrenaline rush of happiness. Like there's nothing that makes you really sad. I mean, of course there's sad scenes and everything, but it always makes you happy and feel good, like about the whole situation. Because it's like they're doing their best, they're working their hardest. It's a feel good anime. It's a really feel good anime.
Very much so, yeah.
Yeah, Haikyuu seems like one of those things you like either bounce off of, like me, because I tried watching it like 3 times. I really couldn't get into it. Or you get obsessed with it. That seems like the 2 outcomes.
Like I
fair
gives
enough.
you the happy feels and you or get addicted to the happy feels or you just don't get it. And that's fine. I pity you.
It's okay.
It's okay.
I mean, one of the things that was definitely important about 2020 was also that this is the year where Haikyuu actually ended as well, like earlier this year.
As a manga, yeah.
Which was actually a big deal because it was one of the oldest manga.
Yeah, it ran for like,
Jump.
10 years or so?
Yeah, that's been running for a long.
I mean,
while.
I bought 2 volumes.
A lot of manga milestones happened this year. Like what did Promise Neverland end this year as well? I was about to say Promise Neverland ended this year. Like One Piece reached its 1,000th chapter. Like that's a big deal for a manga to get that far.
Jojolian reached chapter 100 and also what was it 25th anniversary of something? I don't know. Or that's now. That's now something like that. I don't know. But again, Jojolian 100 and also soon coming to an end with how the story is going. Yeah.
I say but we were talking about the feel good anime. Let's talk about the depressing anime of the year, like Attack on Titan.
Yeah,
like
which
it got like. And Julia, this is the year you got into Attack on Titan.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Finally, I finally started it, binged through it, and then caught up with the anime before it before the final season started. So.
And it was so funny because she started saying she was going to watch Attack on Titan, and I was like, and I have not watched Attack on Titan in a while. Like I read the manga, and I'm caught up with the manga, and I'm reading every chapter that comes out. But I was like, it had been a while. It had been a long while since then. And she was just talking about the first season and everything. I was just like, yeah, you can watch that. It's like I don't need to watch the first season. It's like it's all right. And then she started talking about the second season, and I was like, I need to watch you because I don't think she was spoiled. She wasn't spoiled yet with the Reiner and Bertold betrayal scene.
No,
which is
but
one of my favorites. Which is my favorite scene in anime. Like it's my favorite, just choreographed, like shots, directed. It's one of my favorite scenes ever, and I just had to see her reaction for that.
Okay.
But what happened is that I had been like watching it as background noise. I'd been watching it dubbed, and when I was cleaning my room because I was like, okay, it's like mid-season, nothing big is going to happen. So I didn't notice this happen. I was just like, okay.
And so it wasn't nearly. She wasn't nearly as hyped as I thought she would be. It's like no.
Well, okay, it's like a thing that already happens, kind of in the background. It's like, oh yeah, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. That's
why I love that scene so much. It's like the fact that it's just this major reveal, like something that is like if any other director or writer for a manga would make it like a big scene where like Bertolt and Reiner got cornered somewhere and they finally like reveal themselves or something like that. No, it's just fucking casual, like saying, "Hey, yo, I'm the Armor Titan. He's the Colossal Titan. You want to join us?" or something like that. It's just like it's so different and it has such an impact. And of course, like the entire scene is just directed extremely well. Like, Wit Studios, since they had so much time for season 2, like, they went all out for season 2. Like, it's still my favorite Attack on Titan season just because of how well it is done.
Yeah, I mean, in general, like, in Attack on Titan, all the big moments of the Wit seasons were always directed by Araki himself, and he's an absolute master at the craft, and you can tell. Like, I just love that scene so much. I actually got one of my friends into Attack on Titan this year, and I rewatched all of it together with him. And it was really funny because at the start, he had watched season 1 back when it came out and he didn't like it at all. So at the start, it was very much like, do we have to? Like, it can't be that good. And then when the final episode of season 3 ended, because season 4 wasn't out yet, I like asked him, like, are you good? Because he hadn't talked on the call for like a minute. And he just started going, top one, goat. How does he do it? How does he not miss?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
very much.
And it's great if you're a fan, if you've already read through the top end of the manga and you're rewatching it from the beginning, because you see so much being like set up, and he's like, there's so many foreshadowing events that Julia, you don't even know all about, but
oh yeah, you're anime only.
Yeah.
She's still anime only.
Planning to
I
starting
see.
to read, but yeah, good time now.
I told her like after this last episode 4, I was like, okay, you can read ahead in the manga if you want to. I just need you to be anime only for that one scene, because I was really pumped for that episode.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, because also this is something not for 2020 but 2021, because also Attack on Titan is ending this year now. Yeah, on April 9th.
I'm not sure if that's like meaning the final anime, because it's not going to get all the way to that.
No, not the
but
anime.
the
I'm talking about
manga.
the manga.
Oh, the manga. Yeah, the manga is ending.
Yeah, we even have a date for it now. So
yeah.
The anime is weird. The anime, no way they're doing the entire story in these 16 episodes. Like, what I'm sort of hearing through the grapevine is that they might do a movie as like for the final thing.
Yeah. It's either going to be a movie or second season, but I can see it being a movie because it's looking like it's getting to the close to like the end. I know, I think I have an idea of where the anime season is going to end. It's going to be probably ending at a major cliffhanger moment. Oceans, you probably know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I have a very definite idea of which one you mean.
Yep. It's going to end there probably, and then move on. Like the movie, I can see the movie can be able, like a 2-hour and 2.5 hour long movie, like that could cover the entire ending.
Yes.
Pretty well, I think. And it just, and it's like,
Yeah, especially because like the final arc definitely needs a movie budget.
Yes. Yes, it does. Speaking of production-wise, Oceans, I know you have, like, on and off, again, problems with the MAPPA and Attack on Titan thing. How are you feeling about that now? How are you feeling about that now, actually?
Actually, pretty much the same. I'm still cautiously optimistic, because the thing with MAPPA is, right, they're not a bad studio. The problem is they are a very special studio in the landscape of animation, because they're this... The best way to describe them is a sort of mercenary force of animators. It's a big, like, idiosyncratic group of animators that can take any product and will make a more or less satisfying season of anime out of it. The problem is, of course, consistency and working conditions. And Attack on Titan has been plagued by this from the beginning. I mean, we now know Wit was producing Attack on Titan at a loss. They were not making the money back. It was a passion project for them. And that's also why they were forced to fold in the end. And MAPPA kind of seems to be doing something similar now, where they're really trying to get the season done, as quickly as efficiently as possible. And that, of course, leads to, behind-the-scenes fuckery. Like, the big question is always going to, with Attack on Titan, is always going to be how much is going to show on screen. Because you can bet that behind-the-scenes, things are fucky. Like...
that's for a lot of anime studios as well.
That's
for
true,
Wit, especially.
Yeah. But the problem is, of course, with Attack on Titan, the content also really, really is just made to produce problems in animation. Because you have the 3-dimensional gear, you have the Titans. One of the big first rules of animation is size differences will fuck you up if you try to animate those. Because, different speeds, and you have to make sure that you animate the weight correctly and whatnot. So,
that's why they eventually, even Wit decided to switch to CGI, because that helps a lot with the Titans. And I'm like, at first I was kind of like, whenever MAPPA was showing off and it was mainly just CGI, I was like, I was a little iffy at first, but then they've now been mixing CGI with the animation. Like for Aaron's big reveal on episode 4, it's mostly animated. Like it's mostly animated except for like one outward shot, and it's CGI, but it's hidden so well that I didn't even recognize it was CGI at first. So it's like
yeah.
if they are able to do like it doesn't they. We were kind of spoiled with how Wit Studio did Attack on Titan at first, because it was all animated first. Like season 2 and season 1 were both animated extremely well, but you gotta get spoiled with that because they had so much time in production and they were focusing a lot of effort onto it. And even eventually, they like for the Colossal Titan, it was animated first, and then they were like, no, this is taking too much. We need to make a CGI model.
Well, actually, do you know the story behind that? Because that's actually really funny.
I don't actually know.
The only reason the Colossal Titan is hand animated in season 1 is because all of the Colossal Titan scenes were made into trailer scenes. So they pre-animated it and just reused that footage. That's why season 2 has, the Colossus always in CG afterwards. And we did actually see something like this here too, because if you watch the season 4 trailer, there's no CG in that trailer.
Yep.
Even for scenes that now have CG. And that's why with anime trailers, especially if they come out really early, you probably can't trust them because a lot of them are pre-animated.
And even if in that trailer, the trailer shot, you could tell they were just taking a key scene from the manga that a lot of people like, and they just drew that really well.
Yeah.
And whenever they got to in the production, they were like, okay, we need to change this up a little bit because it doesn't flow nearly as well if it's just a key scene. And it sometimes it works out really well, and then it's like,
Yeah, the problem is also, of course, that Wit was very smart in how they went about with Attack on Titan, because their character designs for most of the cast are so simple and so standardized that they didn't have to worry too much about line count and about on modeling, because like Eren in season 1, he's as simple of a design as you could get. He's literally just a guy, and it's somewhat reflective of how the manga also looked at the time, because early Attack on Titan manga was a story. But now, like, if you look at the design sheets that MAPPA is using, those are crazy complicated. Like, Eren's, like, time skip design with the long hair. Oof, I wouldn't want to animate that.
But the thing is, like, it kind of fits well with the fact, and I'm happy they changed studios kind of for the time skip part, because Wit is great with action, a lot of action, and MAPPA is good with action as well, but they're also good with character expressions and character movements. Like, even like they're great with dialogue, making just plain dialogue interesting, and in their animation style, and that's why I'm like really kind of happy with how they're doing some things. And also, I really liked a lot of the designs. Like Reiner looks, in my opinion, way better. In he looks like just a big jock in the first seasons and everything. It's like I get that, but it's like now he looks way more like an actual he looks way more better in my opinion. Yeah, and I feel like everyone does. So it's just like
Yeah, in season 1, basically, with every character they thought was not going to be super relevant, they simplified it quite. Like, Reiner legit is like 50% nose in the first season.
Yep.
Yeah, but you mentioned dialogue and direction, and I think the funny thing here is that MAPPA is very much trying to compensate here, because they know that they cannot have Jujutsu Kaisen levels of quality on Attack on Titan just because of how the schedule is worked out there, and just because of how the team is composed. So, it's just a thing where limitation breeds creativity, right? It's also the reason why episode 2 of season 4 is full of rotoscoping, which gives it a very distinct look, which, is a creative choice, but it's also one that is definitely born out of limitation. The same with the OP, right? Like, people love it. I love it to death, but it's also like, this is very clearly to save time. Right?
Yeah. And it's very interesting just seeing it all play out and just seeing differences in studios. And speaking, this is actually kind of going to another point, because this is another series I got into at the very end, like last month. And now it's connected to MAPPA as well now, is Chainsaw Man.
Yes.
I had never read Chainsaw Man. I had avoided it because I was just like, this just seems stupid. Just a guy who's a chainsaw man. That sounds dumb. And then people were hyping it up, saying it's one of the deepest and best manga I've read in so long. And it's just like, how can Chainsaw Man, a guy who's literally chainsaws, be so complex and good? And so I read it. I binge read that entire thing in one day, one whole day.
Mm-hmm.
I just read the entire thing, and I was like, "This is absolutely amazing." This is one of my like. It is absolutely incredible.
Yeah,
so
that Fujimoto magic where it sounds really stupid, but it turns into something really great.
Mm-hmm. It's like basically if Junji Ito made a shonen manga mixed with Berserk and like something else. Like it's just kind of that. It's so good. It's so funny and so good. But I liked it a lot.
Yeah, and now of course it's getting the MAPPA adaptation. Although I am much more hopeful for that than I was for Attack on Titan, for the simple reason that Chainsaw Man has a very time-wise, and also Chainsaw Man has a very dedicated fan base in Japan, and for some reason, a huge portion of its fan base are professional animators, and you actually had people lining up to get into the adaptation now, and that is good to see, because that means it'll be something like Jujutsu Kaisen, where you have a lot of people who know each other who can be like, "Hey, you want to come animate this cool shot?"
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, there was the meme of like, Chainsaw Man doesn't need an anime because the fans are going to animate.
The fans are animated. Yeah, they were like doing so much with that already. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Chainsaw Man is another thing I got into this year as well. I caught up to it, I believe, like 15 chapters before it ended, something like that. And yeah, like I did not expect it to go that hard.
I didn't either. That I kept seeing people talk about it on Twitter, like, "Whoa, it went hard here." I was just like, "What? How?" And then I go and I go to read it, and literally that one chapter happens that just changes the entire perspective on everything, and I was just like, "Oh my god!" I'm so like it's when it was one chapter that made me go from just, "Oh, this is fun, goofy, I like this is fun and enjoyable," and then that one chapter happened, and I'm just like, "This is absolutely incredible piece of fiction right here."
Yeah, I was weekly when the Burger King chapters happened.
That was fun. The what?
Oh my gosh, the Burger King. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, so Julia, you haven't read it?
No,
that's
she
on
hasn't.
my 2021 list.
You should. There's a Burger King arc.
And it's one of the funniest, but it's one of the funniest things I've read. Like it's God, I absolutely was laughing my ass off reading that part.
That entire, like, ever since the whole thing happens with the doll
character.
Yeah, with a certain character, and like where they go to that certain place, that freaky place, no one recovers from that, not even the reader.
Nope, no one recovers. And then after certain character gets something happens to him to where they have problems, and that leads to other problems. Yeah. We're trying not to spoil, just vague saying things so we don't spoil Julia.
Wow. Okay, thank you.
But Julia, we have talked enough. Is there any other series that you want to talk about?
Well, while we're at some comedic stuff, I think we should get into comedy, anime or manga. And a big one for us, this year is Love is War. Which...
Season 2 came out, yeah.
Which is absolutely one of the funniest anime I've ever watched. It's just ridiculous, but it's also heartwarming. I love the characters, even though it's such a stupid premise, kind of. But I very much love it.
You love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had watched Love is War Season 1 when it came out, like when it just finished. And I started watching Love is War Season 2 whenever it was starting to air. And I got Julie into it because it was just like,
of course.
It's
As
adorable.
It
it's adorable, and it's so funny. Like, it's just it's written so well too. And like, I will give this to the anime because I've read the manga as well. I like the manga a lot, but I will say I like the anime way more than the manga a lot of times, because it's just, the voice acting is great. The editing style is great. They know their comedy. They know how to make that just as funny as the manga could be, and just add to it with their sound effects, just music choices. The music kills me. Like, just how over dramatic it can be sometimes.
Yeah.
It's just,
but also then that in combination with the cast is just absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
I
you
was
can tell
very
they're having
impressed
fun
with
with
that.
it. It's just it's heartwarming. I love how it can be both completely insane and it's just similar to Gintama. It's how it can be so completely insane, but then heartwarming the next time you see it. Like you're still enjoying and you're still wanting those two to get together, even though you know the joke of the show is that they're not getting together until like the end of the manga, like or everything. Which I've caught up to the manga and it's like, yeah, it's nice.
okay. And yeah, another big one this year. I don't know how big it was on Twitter, but Great Pretender is, I think, my biggest recommendation to everyone who hasn't seen it. It's so good. It's really good. It's a Netflix and original, but you can stream it, like you can watch it online.
It's a really good show. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was hesitant about it a little bit because Julie was talking about it a lot, and I watched a bit of it.
Just doesn't trust me.
Yeah, no, I trusted you, but it's just like everyone has different tastes on things, and it was animated by Wit Studio, which of course I love Wit Studio. They made Attack on Titan and Vinland Saga, two of my favorite anime adaptations, and so I'm watching it, and it's not based off anything before. It's not based off a manga, I don't think. It's anime.
No.
Oh, it's original?
It's a Netflix original.
Am I right on that?
Let me look it up. You
because I thought talking. I don't remember it being based off a manga. I thought it was an anime original.
I go look it up. You continue talking.
Okay. Yeah, because high-profile anime originals are kind of rare these days.
Yeah, but it's got a whole charm to it. Like the characters are very fun and interesting. It's kind of got that Lupin the Third vibe to it, or like someone, or like kind of that. It's a heist. They're all trying to steal things from someone, and it's always got that. I don't know what the best comparison is to it, where it's like the whole thing was planned out in someone's head. It's almost like if L had an anime, kind of just like it all goes to plan, even when things don't go according to plan, and you think in your head. In the end, it shows everything went according to plan, and we pulled off this great heist.
More ridiculous than you could ever think. Okay, it had a manga actually. I've just never heard of it.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just so ridiculous. It's just this entire thing of this goes even deeper than you think, and you think, okay, how are they gonna pull this off? This is impossible. And they do it, and you're like, oh my god.
And season 1 is like very much episodic. Like it's separated into like arcs
cases,
of cases. That's what they're called. And
okay.
It's very fun at the first season is just like 3 cases or 4, 3 or 4.
Well, it's not really seasons, it's really the cases. So they released the first 3 cases at like all together on Netflix, which is like 10 episodes or so.
So like 3 cases, I think it was like.
Yeah, like there was the LA one, then there was the Singapore one, and then Snow of London, but that was in France, I think. And then
and then the last one, like the last case that's animated right now, I think that's for a while, is basically what we would call season 2. It's as long as the first season, but it's just one case, and it's focused a lot on it. And I really liked it. I really like for the last case, I really liked a lot about it because it really delves into the backstory for a lot of characters and just gives them more of it.
Especially the one character that you care the most, like that you wonder the most about, because that person is the most mysterious and the most. Like, they've got some shit. They're traumatized. But just
it's
one
anime,
show.
of course they are.
Yeah, but like you wonder what happened to get them to this point.
And you get to, and like I was kind of disappointed with the end of the case because there's a lot that will go through on in that case that I kind of was annoyed about, and I was just like, I want this to not go the same way as it has been, because I wanted it to change. But it didn't. It was kind of it still ended the same way as it almost always does, and I'm just like, I didn't like that. And then there was a twist at the very end that like some character that you think is dead is actually alive the entire time, and they have amnesia or something. And it was just like, that's stupid. Why would you do that? Like things like that? It's just like,
It just
let him
becomes
be
less
dead.
meaningful.
Let him die.
Yeah.
Just let a character
It's less-
die. It doesn't. You don't need to bring him back for everything.
And I was
So-
kind of glad, like, there was this happy ending and everything. So I was happy for the characters, but storytelling-wise, it was kind of... Like, this is not going to make the situation for the people better. They're just, like, they're not gonna learn from this. But, again, I think it's over now. Like, that was the final case, and... I don't know, I, like, understand that this is not going to... it's not going to make a difference whether you have a kind of bad ending or, like, bad for the characters, but happy ending in general. Like, yeah. Just consequences won't matter anymore, so you might just as well have a happy ending.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll take your word for it. I'm realizing, talking to you guys now, that I really have not kept up with new series in 2020. I've mostly just delved into older stuff at this point.
Another series that I got into, and I still haven't really completed yet because I need to actually watch season 2. I finished season 1, but I didn't watch season 2, which actually aired this year, is Re:Zero. Like, I had never watched it before because I kind of just was like, it's your average freaking, what's it called? Isekai. Yeah, it's your average isekai. Goes into another world. I've seen Sword Art Online. Oh, the gimmick is that the gimmick that it's Groundhog Day, but an isekai. I don't care about this. But then I watched it, and I watched the dub because I really like Sean's Chipluck.
Yes, he's awesome.
I really love his
Sean is great.
performance. Yeah, I love his performances. So I was just like, I gotta watch this and see how he does. And which, absolutely amazing. Like, it's a fantastic dub overall. But I watched it, and I was just like, it's basically, it's like, it's taking the isekai formula, but it delves into, like, themes and deep ideas that you don't really see anyone touch on. Like, the fact that the thing is, it's basically Groundhog Day. Like, at first, it's like he dies a lot, and then he comes back whenever he dies. And... it's like it delves deep into that idea of you keep reliving the same day, but you still remember dying and feeling the death. And, like, he's traumatized a lot. Like, he remembers every death, all the pain and, like, hurting people. He sees friends of his get murdered and, like, mutilated in so many ways. And then he gets to go back, and then he's just talking to them as normal again. And just like nothing happened because they don't know anything happened. But he remembers everything, and so he just has that fear and, like, that entire traumatic events still in his brain. But he's now like, oh, I get to save them and change this entire future, which is great, and, like, it works really well to get to it. But it's still, like, I love seeing how he still has the and he can't talk to anyone about it. Like, he's not able to say, hey, I relive every day. He can't say that. He's, like, stopped from being able to, but physically, because if he starts talking about it, he basically has a heart attack and dies. He can't. He can't.
Okay.
Like, he's not able to talk about it to anyone about, like, his whole situation. So he's by himself in this whole reliving days and not being able to talk to anyone about it. And I know season 2 eventually delves even more into that. But it's extremely. It's probably my. It's probably my favorite isekai that's not Konosuba.
Well, okay, Konosuba is a very special case.
It's a very special isekai.
Okay.
Yeah, Konosuba is probably, like, the only anime, like, direct comedy that I've liked in the last couple of years.
Oh, really?
Because I'm not a huge comedy guy. Like, I don't tend to like things that are focused on making me laugh, because
especially anime comedy, because it's usually trying to be very, like, childish and like it doesn't know how to make a joke well. Like, the only like the two comedy anime that I like is Gintama and Konosuba. Like, I liked, like, I tried Pop Team Epic, and I liked it for a bit. I was like, now it's just not funny anymore. And then, like, Nijichou? Yep. And it's funny for a lot of it, but then there's things I'm just like, that's not nearly as funny. Yeah. So it's just like Konosuba and Gintama are the only two anime that can make me laugh out loud and just love it. So
yeah, because I think with Konosuba, what makes it so funny is A, how terrible everyone is, and B, how genuine everyone is about being terrible.
Yes, it's like you're not supposed to be like, these are good characters I want to be like listen to and watch to. It's like, no, these guys are dumbasses and assholes. Like, and that's just the fun part about it. Like, you can laugh at the whole situations. And
yeah, I mean, it's kind of like watching a D&D session between like really jerk roommates.
Yes. And it's just, and I love kind of just the fact that just jokes with like how he's like basically got Aqua, like this beautiful, like gorgeous. She's a goddess, and he's trying to live, like basically living with her, and he just absolutely despises her. Just is just like, and it's just like, and eventually you like, oh, she's maybe a goddess, but she's one of the most useless things and the most annoying things. Like, everyone's got problems to them that you just like. You grow to love them but hate them at the same time. It's like family, kind of like they got the many problems with family that they have a lot of flaws, but you still love to see them and like see them succeed and do well. It's just it's really fun. I love it.
Yeah, because I remember this is also like the big year. Well, the last year, 2019, was when I really started getting my girlfriend also into anime, and earlier this year. She texts me and she's like, oh, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm editing, because of course I'm editing. And then I'm like, so what are you doing? She's like, oh, I'm watching anime. I'm like, by yourself? I didn't have to force you? What are you watching? She's like, oh, a mutual friend recommended me. And I'm like, okay, what is it? And she's like, I like Konosuba. And I'm like, okay. That's a like... good place to start.
Nothing happened in between what she last heard.
No, definitely not.
Nope.
Smooth sailing.
Yep.
Exactly. All right.
Another thing I was actually going to mention was, did any of you watch the like Crunchyroll originals like Tower of God or God of High School? Did you watch that? I had not seen that. So how was that?
Okay. So Crunchyroll had a deal to animate a bunch, or to co-animate a bunch of webtoon manhwa series. So it was a 3-part deal. They had Tower of God, God of High School, and Noblesse, which are 3 Korean manga or manhwa. I watched Tower of God all the way through. I watched a decent bit of God of High School, and I didn't even touch Noblesse. I didn't
even know there was another one. That was the thing. I never even knew Noblesse was a thing.
Yeah, because the thing is, they did some really funny thing with all of these 3. So Tower of God was good if you just watch it as like its own like quick little season. It's very intriguing. Like, the world is very mysterious. Characters act in really weird but endearing ways. It's very similar to like early Hunter x Hunter. If either of you have watched it,
Hunter.
And it's fun. Like, the art style takes a little bit to get used to because it's very rough. And very pixely in a way. Like, they have a weird filter over it that makes it look kind of weird. I remember some people calling it MS Paint animation, and like usually I hate those comparisons, but in this case I would actually almost agree just because of how it looks. It was good, but I've heard a lot of complaints from the manhwa readers who are saying that basically an entire secondary character arc was completely cut out, which kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Then God of High School was by MAPPA. And it got the good MAPPA treatment.
Oh, so yeah. I saw that animation. It was like, whoa, that animation was cool.
The problem is it covers like 130 chapters in 13 episodes.
It was that much?
I
thought it was just the beginning of it. I didn't think it was the entire thing.
No, they cut out the prologue, do like the most important bits, and then I think they skip immediately to like the final fight of the current like manhwa season, because the manhwa is also in seasons.
What the hell?
Like, the final fight is like basically gods fighting against each other. Like, they really,
after like 13 episodes.
Yeah, they really. Yeah, and then there's Noblesse, which I didn't touch because I knew beforehand what they had done with it. So Noblesse starts adapting from chapter 70 onwards. And to understand the plot, you need to watch an OVA that aired before, which also doesn't adapt the full 70 chapters, but like the important bits. So to me, this is just a classic example of the mentality that anime is an advertisement for the manhwa. And yeah, like this is how they saw it. Like Tower of God is definitely the most competent adaptation in terms of like adapted content. And God of High School is definitely the prettiest looking adaptation. Whereas Noblesse, I've heard it has a good dub, which, you know, that's a good thing. Like, I am so sad that Jujutsu Kaisen's dub is not delivering very well.
Yes.
Okay, so we're talking about Jujutsu Kaisen dub, and I guess this would be another good way to talk about dubs that happened this year. I like a lot of the castings for the Jujutsu Kaisen dub, like mostly like Keiji Bontang as Gojo.
Yes.
I really like. Like I was just like, yeah, he would fit that role. And Itadori being gosh, I can't think of his name right now, but he does like he hasn't done an anime before. Like this is his first anime, I believe.
Yes.
But he's a voice actor like for Star vs. the Forces of Evil and things like that. And he's been doing pretty, like, for a first anime time, I'm like, yeah, you're doing pretty well with a lot of things. And like I said, it's like all the castings are really, like, I think are good. But just like coming together, it's all kind of like, I'm not a big fan of, I think, the writing mostly. And then kind of the script. And it's just kind of like,
I think the problem is, and that's something I noticed, because I watched pretty much all of Jujutsu Kaisen dubbed again. Just to get a feel for how it is. And I think the biggest problem comparing is they seem to mostly be relying on the Crunchyroll subtitles as the script.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of the sentences are exactly the same. And, I mean, it makes sense. It's, I think, one of the first, like, Crunchyroll, not produced, but Crunchyroll ordered dubs.
Yeah.
So they have all the Crunchyroll material. And, yeah, it just doesn't roll well. And I also think the direction isn't there a lot of the time. Like, you mentioned Yuji. He sounds good in casual conversation, but I gotta say, like, in a lot of, like, the big scenes, he underdelivers. And
I can see that, yeah.
Yeah, and, like, he has the potential. You can clearly tell he has the potential. It's just that it feels like maybe they don't do enough takes. Like, I'm not immersed in that as much as you are, but it really does feel like there isn't as much, like, fine-tuning of the voices.
It's more like you did good. Let's just move on. It's kind of like there's not really let's dig deep to get this the best performance we can get. It's more like this was a good take. This will be passable. Like it'll sound good and people won't complain really too much about it. So it's like it's a good dub, but it's not that great dub like you want.
Yeah, and like even Kaiji Tang is not like. I was really looking forward to his Gojo, and he's left me kind of lukewarm.
Because he does so well in, like, Yakuza 7 as the main character. Like, he did really good with that performance, I think. He's, like, having fun and having that goofy side to him. It's like, yeah, I want that with Gojo. I want that fun character to it. And he brings that to a lot of things, but it's like, at times I'm just like, it could be more. Like, I can see more. And I mean, we're spoiled with such a great Japanese cast for Jujutsu
that is
Kaisen.
also true.
Like, it's
I also assume, and I have no basis for this, but it's just, this, considering the times, I do think the Jujutsu Kaisen dub might be suffering from COVID. Because, it's a miracle we're still getting so many, like, high-quality dubs through this. Like, the Attack on Titan Season 4 dub started last week.
Yep. And it sounded really good.
It's completely home produced.
It's really good.
The entire second part of season 4 of My Hero was home produced, and
it sounded really good as well. Like
there's a single line of Midoriya's dialogue, and I'm a complete nerd for remembering this, but there's a single line where you can hear like background noise. Because I've just rewatched it so many times.
Speaking of that, there was like I remember this whenever it was the first like from home dub release. It was for Golden Wind. Which we'll talk more about that dub probably here in a bit. But after it was I think of Bakio's death episode. I think that was it. And I could hear the difference in mic quality and difference whenever Ray Chase was speaking as Bruno. Like he had a different mic quality. And I could tell like as I was listening to it and I was just like it was like so noticeable to me at least that I was just like you can definitely tell he's recording from a different mic studio and different home setup than everyone else is, and or like they mixed it differently or something like that because it was like it was glaringly obvious to me, And I was just like,
Okay.
yeah, I can tell this is a home studio release. Just like,
Okay, I couldn't tell actually, or at least maybe I forgot because I didn't.
it wasn't
that.
because I mean the performance was still good and everything. Like I didn't see much of a problem with it, but it was just like I could tell. Like, for me, at least, I could tell. But
Yeah.
It's funny when that stuff happens.
yeah, but it didn't ruin the dub for me at all. So Golden Wind dub, how we all feel about that?
Ended.
It did ended.
Well,
it did end.
As you know, I am not caught up with it actually because I had to take a break with the reactions to it. But we've seen up to
Tiziano.
the end of Tiziano and Squalo, yes. And up until then, I was absolutely blown away by it. I loved it so much. Yeah, it's everything I wanted from it, really. So
a thing I've really liked with both Golden Wind and Diamond is Unbreakable is script writing, because Jalen Cassell does the script mainly, and you can tell he puts a lot of character and fun to it, like because I'm one person who's like, if you're doing a dub, you want to adapt what's been said, but you also want to make it to where I want some change. I don't want word for word what just got said.
Yes,
I want kind of like your own interpretation of what's being said and what flows and what you can do more with like the English language for dubs. What more you can do with that. And I just love, especially in part 4, whenever in Diamond is Unbreakable, I just loved all the fucking funny lines they would say, like just shit biscuit or something, like just like these weird like these
God,
weird
drop the meat.
there's these weird like like this weird combined profanity slang that they would do. It was funny, like it was like, and it made me be like, yeah, these are teenagers in high school right now in like Japan, like in the 90s, like late 90s. It's like, of course they're going to be saying dumb shit. It's like, yeah, have fun with that. And I was kind of annoyed at first whenever they brought that into part 5, because there's some things I was just like, you don't need to have it nearly as much here, because this is not nearly the same as part 4, because it's a different setting, different characters. But eventually they toned it down a little bit, and like Narancia still had funny lines and things like that, and I was like, yeah, have Narancia have those funny lines, because it's like he's a fun character. He's the one. It's whenever like a serious character says something like that, it's just like, I don't want you to do that too much.
Yeah.
But the casting though has always been good with the dubs. Like I've always said, like the dub casting for JoJo has been almost perfect to me, because like everyone sounds the way I would think they should sound, and like the one that surprised me the most was Kellen Goff as Diavolo. Like I was like, whenever because I heard it was Kellen Goff, and I was like, okay, because I've heard his lower voice, I've heard his lower range, I'm just like, okay, I can kind of see what he's gonna do there. But when he came, like whenever I first heard him, I was like, it just like it made me go like, this is not the voice I thought he was going to do, but God, I cannot picture any other voice. Like it was absolutely perfect for him. Like he had a gravel to it. It had but it still had that oversense nature. And I love the writing for Diavolo, because he had a lot more of an elegant kind of almost just fully well versed in like Shakespearean language. Like he talked more like high and mighty, and it was a good contrast to many of the other characters who talked more just normal slang. And
clearly, they're uneducated teenagers.
Yeah,
lost in life, pretty much.
Yeah, and another.
So I love that.
Yeah, and I also loved in the script the addition of Italian words, like because they did not do that really for Japanese. And it's like English, and I know people were annoyed by that. It's like saying there's so much those Italian words and everything. It's like I remember this because I got like talked about it because whenever I did fan dubs and everything. Why don't they have Italian accents? It's like, are you fucking moronic? Why would you be like? I saw people getting mad. It's like they should have Italian accents. It's like, no, they fucking shouldn't. Do you remember what Caesar sounded like for the dub? I love Bryce. I love Bryce.
Everyone in part 2 sounded like.
Yeah.
For that matter.
Because whenever it's a dub. Because the thing is, it's not just one Italian character mixed with a bunch of other races races or like people from different countries. Like it's not the same thing. They're all from Italy, so they should all sound the same. It's like they don't all need to have Italian accents because it's like they're all from Italy.
Yeah.
So do you know how hard it is to keep up an accent that you don't have for 39 episodes?
Yeah, and it's also, like, it's not really part of the character. Like, Caesar in part 2, of course he has an Italian accent. He's Italian, mixed with a British man and also, like, other... Like, they're combined so you can contrast their voices well. Like, that's how it is. And it's a lot harder for English speakers to do an Italian accent consistently well than keep it going. Like, British is real easy because it's like, it's the English language. It's so, like, part 1 is all in, everyone's doing a British accent because it's set in England. We speak English. It's like, yeah, it makes sense. And that's why I'm happy with things like that.
Yeah, I also think that, with British English, even if you do, like, a not great job at replicating the accent, it's still endearing for the most part.
Yeah.
If it's like, because, I think the British accents in part 1, they're not great, but they're wonderful to listen to because they're so funny. With a bad Italian accent, it's quicker that it sounds cringy. And I think that's what a lot of people also had to say about Bryce's Caesar. Yeah. So, yeah. And also, like, Caesar, all things considered, is a relatively small part of part 2. So you have this, like, isolated Italian bubble. But all the big, like, part 5 moments being performed with a strong Italian accent would have probably been overbearing.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Like, no, I would not have wanted that.
Yeah. And, like...
I think nobody would have.
And a lot of the casting choices I warmed up to, because I did not really like Philip as Giorno at first. As soon as he was... I was just like, it says... There's no character... Like, I almost felt like there's no character to him yet. I didn't feel like he was really in the performance as well. But he later on, especially after, I'd say definitely after Abakio's death, he really came into the role way, like, so much more. And, like, of course, his big thing was, could he do the 7-page Muda well? And especially me, because I've done it myself, I was going to be, like, very nitpicky. I was like, I want to see how good this is. And he did it absolutely amazing. Like, I was genuinely surprised on how well he did, because his Mudas have been kind of like, I was kind of like, it's all right, but you could do better. But he did absolutely incredible in the end of the dub.
Yeah, the only thing that I don't like about how the 7-page Muda was handled in the dub is the mixing of that scene is really weird. Like, it is. You can barely hear the Mudas, and it's a real shame. It's a real shame. Yeah,
because Philip did well. I could hear how well he was doing. And it's just like, they overdid the sound effects to where the stand cry wasn't near. And that's the thing with the dub especially. Like, the dub has kind of been like, stand cries, let's bring them back a bit. They're not nearly as prominent as they are in the Japanese.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that is also because they know that they're probably gonna get a pretty negative reaction either way, because people are so obnoxious about dubs. So maybe, they know that they don't want to deal with that, right?
Like, I remember whenever Part 3's dub was coming out, it was like, because there's so many memed and iconic lines from the Japanese that whenever they, obviously change it for the dub, because it's not going to be this near same as the Japanese, they already get mad about it. Like Rodo Rola Da. Like, I'm going to roll all over you. It's like... What else could you say?
How it works?
Like, yeah, you could, and they were like complaining, like, he said it differently. It's like, of course he's gonna say it differently. It's not nearly the same.
If you want the Japanese dub, just watch the Japanese dub.
Yeah, exactly. And I think by far the dumbest one of these, like, little controversies I've ever experienced was when the dub for Attack on Titan Season 3 Part 2 was airing. Irvin's speech in the dub. It's good, but there was a huge thing where people got upset because you know how in the end he says, in the Japanese, he said, my soldiers rage, my soldiers scream. Or no, he says, rage my soldiers, scream my soldiers. And in the English, it just inverted it for, like, lip sync reasons. And people were like, oh, how dare they? They think they're better than the Japanese. It's like...
It's literally the same. Like, both of them are amazing. It's
literally just an inversion, yeah.
Yeah, because they're both done really well. Jacob Michael Tatum and... Daisuke Ono. They both did amazing for those roles. Like, they did those performances really well for Irwin. Like, I really loved them both. And I've always been iffy on the Attack on Titan dub. Like,
Season 1 is rough.
Yeah, Season 1 is rough. They're really rough.
But it's also mixed badly. I noticed on my rewatch
Yeah,
with
it
my
is.
girlfriend, because if you watch it on like a good TV, you notice the voices are really quiet. Like it's kind of crazy. And, you know, I think the big like friction point with the Attack on Titan dub is always going to be Bryce, just because he has such a distinct tone.
Yeah.
So
and
yeah,
it's way different than like other people. Like, of course, I forgot the Japanese actor's name.
Yuki Kaji.
Yuki Kaji. Yep.
Yeah.
Yuki Kaji. It's way different than his interpretation, and it's like I'm very nervous, but also ready to hear how Bryce does time skip Eren, because it's a completely different tone and like different voice.
Yeah.
He needs to be changing his voice for that, because it's like he can't be the squeaky higher voice that he did for a long time, because it worked at first, but now it's like it needs to be much more mellowed, I guess.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
like,
we kind of did get a glimpse of that at the end of season 3, right? At the ocean scene.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm absolutely the same. I'm also interested in how that's going to play out.
Yeah, and like there's a lot of parts of the dub that I actually genuinely love casting wise for Attack on Titan. Like Matt Mercer as Levi is like, yeah, who else could do that better? Like it was the same thing whenever Matt Mercer was cast as Jotaro. I was like, yeah, no one else could do that better. It's pretty, yeah, there you go. And also, like, Josh Grell as Armin, I liked a lot more, because it's like, whenever I think of Armin, it was just like, I needed someone who, because it's like, it's a female in the Japanese, so it's like, you need to have a guy doing it for the English, because it'll be very noticeable for us audiences. But he does it really well. Like, everyone else is casted pretty well as well.
Yeah, like, I got shit for this the last time I said this, but I'm going to say it again. I don't like Japanese Zeke. I really do not enjoy Koyasu's Zeke. And the main reason is because Zeke is like a sort of funny character, but Koyasu overdoes it sometimes. And my breaking point was actually in this season when he's getting ready to activate the Titans in the bombardment. And he has to clear his throat, and he just, in the Japanese, he just goes, "Ohom." And I'm like, I get it, he's funny, but that's weird, yes. It takes me out of the experience. Whereas, I don't even know who it is in English, but I think he does a better job.
Yeah, I forgot his name, but and also his voice is way higher than I would expect for Zeke. Like I was kind of thrown off by that. I was like, his voice is a lot higher than I expected. But then it's like, how old is Zeke actually? I forgot. Is he like 20 something?
Zeke is in his late 20s. He's a bit older than Eren. I
was about to say. So it's just like, yeah, he shouldn't sound too older voice, and I think that's another problem with Koyasu is like his voice is a little bit too old for.
Yeah, I was here thinking he was at least like 35.
Yeah, his voice is a bit too old for Zeke, and it's like it works well for whenever he's younger as Dio and things like that, but especially as older Dio, like in part 3. But yeah.
But yeah, young Dio was also weird.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not complaining, but it's weird.
One dubbing choice of Attack on Titan that I definitely do agree was just very lacking is Eren's dad in season 3, in the flashback. He sounds weird. He was weird.
Christian did sound weird.
Yeah, like, because he sounded great in season 1. It's the same guy, right? Like, they didn't change, So I just don't know what happened there.
It's either dub direction or things like that. Like, it's usually just bad direction, because most of the time the actors are never the problem. It's just either poor direction or poor casting on their part. And it's like they do their best as long as they, and then it's like as long as they do their best, it's like that's all I asked for a dub actor to do. But it's like you're still criticizing me like I feel like it could be better, and it's like. And I mean, I'm hoping, because I really love the casting choices for the final season right now. Like Kellen Goff as Porco Galliard, like I was just like, and forgot his name, but he plays the dub Hinata in Haikyuu. He's playing Falco. I was just like, yeah, that's a great choice. Griffin Burns as Colt. I was like, yeah, these are like I literally saw the casting choices. I was like, yeah, these are all perfect voices for these characters. It's like. And I was super hyped when I saw that Neil Kaplan's doing Magath. Yep. Because I haven't heard him in anything in a while. It's been a while. I saw that as well. I was just like, You're getting all right. You're getting
This
the right
is a big man's dub now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it sounded really good overall. I liked it.
Yeah, and like one thing that I do like about like dubs in general, and that I think people give a lot of unnecessary shit to, is like people have this idea burned into their head that dubs are like done, you know, uncaringly or maliciously even, where like they're actively like not caring about the product. And I was reminded how wrong this is by just with Attack on Titan, where when the Mid-Eastern soldier is speaking gibberish in Japanese, in the dub, they bothered to get a native Turkish speaker and have him speak Turkish.
I didn't even realize that. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, like I was rewatching the dub, and I suddenly hear him say "Dokunma bana şeytan," which is "Don't touch me, you devil." And I'm like, that wasn't in a Japanese. In a Japanese, he just mutters. He's just like, "Buh, buh, 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 buh." And I'm like, that's a really cool touch. They absolutely didn't need to do that, but they did.
It's just that added touch, because the thing is with English, you can do like, because the English language just can incorporate a lot of other languages, just how we are. And just how our production wise, we have so many mixed things and races and things like that, to where we can just add a new flair to it. Like I said, like with British voices and on like part one's like dub, because it's like whenever like I found out JoJo was finally getting a dub, I was super excited for part one, because it's like that was the one I wanted so bad to get a dub, because it's like, yes, give us my British voices, because we're in England right now in the 1800s, like late 1800s. Give me my Victorian accents, man. Make it as cheesy as possible. I want it to be that way. It's like, it's JoJo. It's not meant to be taken so seriously. It's like, have fun with it. And which is why I've really loved the dubs right now, because they have fun with it. They're not, and but you can still see that respect for the source material. So
yeah. I think a lot of people kind of forget that language is not just language. Language is also culture, right? So, you know, a translation is by necessity a transliteration of the culture that you're working with. Like one thing that made me respect the Part 5 dub immediately was when I saw in the credits that they had an Italian language advisor. Giovanna something. And that was like, okay, you are taking this seriously. I respect you. Even if you might have some voices I don't like, this is already a big plus for me.
Like like they are saying the Italian words in the right context. If they're cursing, they usually say it in Italian, like cazzone or thing like that. They go on for it, and that's
And also, a big thing that I loved a lot about the Italian in Part 5 is that it was never something that was needed to understand what was being said, but you understood out of context about what they were saying in Italian. So you didn't need any subtitles for that. You just, he just cursed, or he just, I don't know, called them something endearing. Yeah. Something like that, but not something that just throws you out of it and makes you feel like, what does that mean? You kind of, if you care, you go and Google it. If you don't care, you just know what it was supposed to do.
Yeah, it was like, and they,
because for me, the biggest worry I had going into the Part 5 dub was the names. Because River, my man, I gotta say, the folks over on your end of the ocean have come up with some funky pronunciations of these characters in the past.
Giorno Giovanna. Yeah, I hate that one. I've always hated that one.
Medi's risotto fucking kills me. Love Medi.
But yeah, there's so many, like, they get it real, like Bruno. Well, it used to be Bruno Bucciolati with the L's. Instead, now it's Bruno Bucciolati, because it's like they got the more R pronunciation. And yeah, like Narantia instead of Narantia.
Narantia.
Yeah.
Bacchio, Fugo. Like,
Diavolo.
Oh my god, Diavolo.
Yeah, but I'm happy to say that they did almost everything correctly. The only name, funnily, that they consistently mispronounce is Bucciarati. Because they say Bucciarati a lot, which...
Bucciarati.
You gotta have one name. Like, okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, I went so, like, it took me forever to figure out how to spell that. Because I was so used to Bucciolati with the two L's, so it was just like, I got it. But then whenever, like, Bucciarati came in, I was like, I don't understand. I had to Google that thing so many times.
Yeah, I mean, I am Italian, and I was actually unsure on the pronunciation until the Japanese anime came out and pronounced it Bucciarati. And I was like, oh, okay, so that's how you want to pronounce it. Because, the double C, you could do ch, or you could do k. And I was always like, okay, so it's probably bucchiarati, because buco in Italian is hole or opening, and, he does zippers and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. And then the anime came, and I was like, oh, okay, just fuck me then, I guess. Although there's one episode where I think Doppio calls risotto rasuto again, and I'm like, it will never stop haunting me.
But yeah, it was all good to me. That was all good to me.
They managed to make Kellen Goff saying Emperor Crimson sound as intimidating and cool as in the Japanese, and that's honestly all I want.
Yeah. Also, I wasn't bothered by the stand names.
Ray Chase made Zipperman sound badass.
Yes.
I was so shocked, like literally, because whenever it was announced that Ray Chase was going to be Bruno, that was the one I was most excited for, because I love Ray Chase's voice, and I was like, that's perfect. He would be perfect for this role. I was the most excited for Mick Lauer being Abakio. That was the one I was most excited for. But also Ray Chase as Bruno. And whenever I was just like, I can't wait to hear him say Zipperman and see how bad it sounds. And when he said, he screamed out, Zipperman! I was just like, yeah, I'm excited for Zipperman. I'm fucking Zipperman. Just like,
zip me up, buddy. Let's
just
go.
And even they made Little Bomber sound badass as well. Just like the names that I thought were going to be, because the stand names are the worst in part 5. Like the name changes, like they're the dumbest there. But yet they still sounded fun, and like you could tell they were still giving it as much as they could to that. It was just
yeah.
They were doing it with a very clear and passionate sincerity, and that kind of carried them over. But I do still think it's so funny to see people still complain about the stand names. Like, we know the drill by now.
What do you want them to do?
Yeah, because I think the big problem is because people are not completely clear on why exactly they have to change them. And admittedly, it's not a super transparent legal situation, because it's very much just, we do not want anyone on our ass, so let's preventatively change them, because there's never been a case of them getting sued for that.
But I also don't understand why people will get mad. I just think it's very funny.
Because people take dubs way too seriously. Like, they take it way too seriously sometimes. Like, they're trying, because either they want one thing or another. Like, they either want it, usually because they usually just want the Japanese again, almost. It's like they want just a direct reading of the subtitles. They want the same type of voice. They want the same type of everything. They don't want any change. That's the major thing. They'll always find something to complain about because they hate the change.
Why do you watch a dub if you don't want the dub?
Well, the thing is, right, here's the bitter pill. You're always going to prefer the version you watch first, unless you have like a preconceived preference for one of them.
Yeah.
Like, I know I will always prefer a good dub to a great Japanese cast, just because, for me personally, having that additional barrier of having to read a translated line will always just lessen the impact.
Yeah, and you're having, and unlike most Japanese, like for most anime, they usually record the audio somewhat first sometimes. They don't really try to match with the lip syncs or anything, or if they record, they don't really have the lip syncs already made yet. They'll usually do that for the actors, so they do what they can. But for like dubs, they have to match the scene what's already said, match the same type of performance, and have to do it all in that concise little bit of time. So it's like it can be way harder overall for that, and it's just yeah.
Also, the Japanese don't care nearly as much about lip sync. Like,
no,
if you actually
no, they don't. They don't.
If you manage to take your eyes off of the subtitles, you notice half the time lip sync is just no concern for them.
Yeah, they might be talking right before. I've been noticing that with Attack on Titan right now. Like literally the last episode, Willie Tybur, many times he would just start talking. Him and Aaron both would just start talking first, moving their mouth, and then the dialogue would come in. And I was just like,
well, yeah.
I mean,
it's also a different standard, different culture, and as you said, I think with dubs, people have such a tendency to be nitpicky because in their head, dubs are still what they were like in the early 90s, right? So,
and also they understand the subtones of what is said more than in Japanese.
Because they don't
They don't really understand the language.
And like they get in their head that it's like, oh yeah, I'm hearing the Japanese, I understand what they're saying. No, you don't understand what they're saying. You're reading the subtitles. The subtitles could say whatever they want. If it's not the same, you might be like, oh, it's that they changed that line. It's like, no, it's just a different translation, because Japanese to English is never going to be one for one. It can always be kind of translated in a different way.
Shout out to that one episode of Golden Wind that had the wrong subtitles attached on Crunchyroll and the ones from Fruit Basket, and so it had Seko asking Chocolata if they want to get married.
Yep.
and Chocolata saying, "I love you."
Yep.
Oh no, he
does say that.
He said that actually. He does say that. Yeah, true. I forgot he does say that. Yep. That was awesome.
I thought
that was so funny.
Was a great day. That was a great day.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta also really pity the Crunchyroll subtitlers, because they get paid nothing and they're working under so much stress for a series that they, for the most part, don't even know. And they're at the mercy of a fandom that is notoriously aggressive towards anyone in the Western industry. Anyone in the Japanese industry too. Yeah. Like we saw it again with the Attack on Titan director this week.
Yeah, that was
awful.
That made me, because the thing was, I was like, I kind of agreed with the sentiment. It's like, yeah, you see Big Girl, like the song would have fit really well overall in like the scene, but they didn't, and it didn't change the fact that the scene was awesome. Like it's still great, but it's just like, I can see why you were kind of like, people were like, I would want to change that. But just say that, or make a little edit or something. Like, that's fine with me. Nothing wrong with that. But why are you attacking the director for doing that? Like, the director's job is to direct the thing. I mean, if you did it your own way, you'd do something differently. Like, it's meant for them to change. And then if you want to edit your own thing in, you can. It's like...
Yeah, I mean, I am of the camp that I think, whatever... the music that was there kind of fit, and I'm kind of tired of You See Big Girl. I'm not gonna lie.
It does get overplayed. It's great. Yeah. It's one of the best pieces of music that's been written for this show, but it does, if it's the only thing getting played, it becomes too much.
Yeah, I do really respect what MHA did, where it had an absolute meme banger soundtrack with You Say Run, and they used it exactly 4 times, and then they were like, nope, we're never using this again, we're done with it. Nope, and I'm like,
they didn't.
Which actually makes me interested in what they're going to do for season 5, because Yuki Hayashi is fantastic. I love the guy.
Oh my god, I love him. For Haikyuu, for My Hero Academia, just
the new Pokemon season has him as well.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yes, and the Shaman King remake is also going to have him.
Oh, yes. I'm interested now.
Yes. Did you ever watch Shaman King?
I watched it a bit, but never as much as the other. Whenever I was younger. But I was more Pokemon or Sonic X or something like that.
Sonic X was so funny. Most of my first animes I watched in Turkey with the Turkish dub. And
there's a Turkish dub. Oh my
gosh. Yeah. I mean, all countries more or less have a dubbing industry.
Yeah, most countries, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean. It's so funny seeing people complain about English dubs, and here I am knowing of the existence of German dubs, and it's like, mach schon, Sasuke! They have gotten better. I have heard that Attack on Titan dub is actually really solid.
Yeah, actually, I've because I watched season 1 of Attack on Titan on Netflix. I watched a German dub sometimes, depending on what I was doing, and it was good. It was actually pretty good.
I mean, if any German dub for an anime should be good, it should be the one with the most German influence, probably.
That's true. Although,
fair enough.
Big props to English dub, because it pronounces all the names almost correctly. They managed to say Rainer instead of Rainer. Yeah,
Rainer.
Yeah,
Rainer. Yeah, which I think is really good. That's something that
Bertolt.
That's one of my biggest funs with
is always
Attack on Titan is just pronouncing them overly German, just because I can, and seeing everyone else going Bertolt, Rainer.
Oh my god! In my when I did my Attack on Titan video, which blew up again, Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Who would've
I
thought?
keep seeing that. I keep seeing that video recommended to me, and I'm just like, yeah. It was the thumbnail. It's literally the change of the thumbnail. That
Yeah,
did it.
I know.
That was
but
smart.
like,
That was smart. The change.
you always have to do that. I did the same
Oh,
with
yeah.
the Diavolo video, and it blew up again. But like in that video, I went out of my way to pronounce every name as German as I could, and it's always super funny to see people like pick up on that. People were really upset. Ehrenjäger. Ehren. Yeah, but I mean, it's based on a German word, Ehrenjäger. So
The entire series is kind of based in Germany. Like it's kind of like it's got that German influence to it with a lot of things.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, you can find it in a lot of them. Were you around or like in anime when season 1 was airing and was getting like unofficial subs and stuff?
It was literally the first anime I watched that was airing at the same time. Like, because like I had just started getting into anime. I just finished Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, and like I saw this new anime that like it was the big new anime, and it was like the only 2 episodes had been out by the time, and it was like Attack on Titan. So I watched that as it was coming out. So yeah, I remember when it was first coming out.
Do you remember how hard subbers struggled with Berthold's name?
Yep.
Bertoroto Fuba.
It was always bad. Like they struggled with that so hard to get Berthold's name right.
Yeah. Which I mean, yeah, sure. Another thing that I noticed is actually Japan has a weird tendency to have German stuff in their series. Like if you look at something like Full Metal Alchemist,
especially Full Metal Alchemist is like that major German influence to it. That and Attack on Titan are like the 2 big German influenced anime and animation. That
I mean, you know, if you go, especially if you go into like mecha shows, you'll notice every special attack is named in German, and it's like that's interesting.
Yeah, they do.
I'm just thinking about Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Asuka.
Asuka.
Have you ever watched Fate?
Fate? I need to.
Yeah, that
like,
is
I've been
also
hearing it's
2021.
really.
Yeah,
I've been hearing it's really good. I've seen animation clips from it because I'm just like
it's ufotable, so they're really good.
Yeah.
But in Fate, there is a character who all her spells are just German, and they're really bad German. One of her spells is "Ein Körper ist ein Körper," which literally just means a body is a body. Yeah, but Fate is good. Fate is really good. Don't let yourself be swayed by the visual novel people who tell you that all the animes suck. Zero and Unlimited Blade Works are great. I haven't watched all the Heaven's Feel movies yet. I've seen 2 of the 3, but they're also great. You know, they're kind of dark. Like they deal in some shitty stuff. So you know, that's up to you to decide if you want to deal with that.
Well,
but it looks great. It's well animated, well dubbed. You have Crispin Freeman doing Bible verses in Zero.
I saw that. I did see that whenever, like, I saw a clip from that. I was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. In Zero, the main villain is Crispin Freeman, and the main character is Matt Mercer. So.
cool.
Oh,
awesome.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's already good casting right there.
Yeah. In Unlimited Blade Works, you have Bryce again at the helm. So you had a lot of fun. Like, as I said, like it's really up to you if you want to get into Fate, because Fate is the continuity is a bit weird, right? Because it's based on a video game that is already a handful.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna get into that now because we're gonna be here forever. But yeah, if you start at Zero and just go with Unlimited Blade Works and then the Heaven's Feel movie, you should be fine.
Okay.
And people, don't tell anyone you watch it like that, because people will scream at you and be like, no, you have to play the 500-hour visual novel to get the full story. It's like, I'm an adult, I don't have 500 hours.
No.
I guess if we want to wrap things up, I think the next thing we should...
Not yet, because there's one thing that we all of us watched, and that actually came out in early 2020, and that was Beastars, the anime.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Beastars did come out.
And season 2 is coming soon. No, it already started.
It's out.
I think the first episode.
Yeah.
The first episode already came out.
Well,
Well.
so I will preface this by saying that I'm a manga reader. The manga ended this year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that was another manga that ended this year. Yeah.
Yes, it ended.
I have not.
It's
was it? Did it end well? Like I
No.
want to know this because
no,
it didn't.
It ended horribly. Like it's a horrible ending, and I hated the last 10 chapters of it.
Oh no.
Yes. It's so frustrating because it's like up until the final, not even like the final arc is still good. Up until the like final confrontation, she does really well by with her typical like, you know, balancing humor and seriousness. And then by the end of it, she just completely loses it in humor. It's so upsetting to see. Like the ending is almost incoherent in what it's trying to tell you. And it's just so disappointing. However, I will say that you are feasting with this new season because it is adapting the best arc in the series. And that arc is like top 10 material. It's so good.
Okay.
Cool. Like I was going to read the manga after I finished season 1, but I was like, I want to wait kind of. I kind of put it off instead because I started focusing on other things. So now I'm just going to watch the season as it is.
Yeah, and I mean, the anime could fix the ending. Like, the problem is very much a tone problem and a how much information are you going to give us about this problem. Both of which are fully within the anime's capabilities of fixing.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that like almost killed my entire hype for season 2, I gotta say. It was real bad. And she already has a new series out, which is odd. But then again, that entire family of writers is so weird because she's the daughter of the guy who writes Baki, the grappler.
Yep. Baki.
Do you know what her new series is about? Have you heard about that?
No, what is it? No, I haven't heard about it yet.
It's about a woman who has a who has a disease that anytime she touches anything dirty, she bleeds until she almost dies.
Yep.
However, her last wish is to have sex.
To have sex, yep.
Yeah.
Of course.
And so chapter 1's climax is her trying to boil a guy's dick to disinfect it. And
okay.
Yeah, there isn't a normal person in that family, is there?
Yeah, I mean, Baki, dear lord.
Yeah.
That's like, I always told people, like, whenever people were complaining about the JoJo art style being too, like, oh, they're too bulky and muscular, like, they look too weird and everything, I was just like, buddy, this is nothing. Look at Baki. And I just show him an image from Baki, and I'm just like, this is what uncomfortable muscles and, like, I cannot look at that art because it makes me so uncomfortable. Like, I mean, you, Julia, that's what you say for One Piece. That's how I am with Baki.
Really?
Like, I just cannot. I will never be able to watch it.
Oh, that's bad.
Baki is the best described as like hypervascular nightmares because everyone is super buff, but they're also super veiny, and like
and it doesn't fit. Like their body proportions don't make any sense whatsoever. It's just like muscle. That's it. It's like, and the thing is, it starts off pretty fine. Like, I'm just like, the faces look kind of weird and everything, but it's like, it starts off fine, but then it just gets crazy.
Yeah.
But going back to the Beastars anime, it's amazing how it's like the first CGI anime that's ever been kind of loved universally.
Yeah.
Like, if there's a CGI anime, most people hate it because it's usually really bad. Like Berserk, Kingdom, like a bunch of anime, like a bunch of those things are just animated terribly. But Beastars, you can see so much detail in the movements, the character animations. Even though the models may not look great sometimes, they do a great job of incorporating 2D elements into the 3D. Like, they know how to use the technology they have to make it more expressive and more fun. So it's like, it's well cast. Like, there's a lot good with that.
Yeah, I mean, season 1 of Beastars was great. I think it's overall the second like really popular CGI anime because the first one was Land of the Lustrous, which is by the same studio. So you know, Studio Orange is fantastic at CGI. I would say the only people who can really compete with CGI, like dedicated CGI right now, is Studio Orange and Studio MAPPA's CGI division, because they also had Dorohedoro, which was also generally praised.
Oh, that was a new anime that came out this year.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Like, the Beastars anime was great. I thought the direction was fantastic. I thought the casting was great on both sides, actually. I actually even enjoyed the dub.
The dub cast, Jonah Scott and all of them. Yeah, they were good.
Yeah. Keith Silverstein as the panda was certainly a choice.
Keith Silverstein is just one of those. It's like he's one of the most. Like, as soon as I hear his voice, I'm just like, "There's Keith." I know him right there because he's just got that unique kind of inflection with his voice. Kind of just It's like I hear him a Speedwagon, and then I hear him like literally everywhere else, and it's like, "There's Keith again."
He plays like almost everyone in Naruto, actually.
Yeah.
Him and Johnny Young Bosch pop up as randos all the time. The only thing I didn't like about the Beastars season 1 is that they cut out a really important scene, which I thought was kind of a shame.
Well, what was the scene? Because we've both seen the anime.
So remember Bill the tiger, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a scene where he confronts Louis about knowing about his past, which I think the anime hasn't covered his backstory yet. And he's trying to blackmail him with that. Mm-hmm. And they don't say what his past is. That's still to come.
Actually, no, they have done. They have talked about his past.
Oh yeah, okay. So about his So Bill is like, so hey, you're gonna help me like get back to the top of like the acting lounge. And I'm not gonna tell anyone about your past. And Louis pulls a gun on him and shoves him in his mouth. Yeah, it's a very important scene because it establishes their character dynamic and also Bill's like character arc going into season 2. And it's not the most important thing in the world. I can see why they cut it for time reasons, but at the same time, it's like, I would have liked to have that in.
Because Louis is unhinged. Like, he's a very unhinged character. Like, yeah. So, I mean, you see that at the very end when he just shoots the lion fucking in the head.
Yeah. And, but aside from that, I'm so excited to see how they do this next arc, because this is like the uncontested best arc in Beastars. And perhaps it has to do something with the fact that Beastars only really has 4 story arcs. But everyone agrees this is the best one.
Okay.
It is like I'm not going to spoil anything, obviously, but it is like a very, very like quintessential shonen arc done really well, and with Beastars like excellent grasp on character and on drama. So yeah, it's great. So yeah, I'm excited for season 2 again. I've swallowed the ending enough, And she's actually elaborating on the Beastars prequel, which is Beast Complex, and she's actually turning it into a full series now to explain the world a bit better, which I think that's smart.
That'd be nice.
That's cool. That's cool. Okay.
So, are we wanting to wrap it up now?
I think so. I just wanted to ask, what was your favorite opening and ending of the year? And
Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yes, Jujutsu Kaisen.
I mean, I don't know if it's my favorite opening. It's definitely, Lost in Paradise. Nothing can beat that. That's one of the best endings of the decade. Like, it's just amazing.
Opening, I also have to offer. Yeah, my war. Daddy Do.
Yep. Love is War.
Then Wild Side.
That was 2020. Was it?
Well, it was late. It was October 2019.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. The anime ended in 2020 though. Like season 1. So it's like it's kind of that in between.
January 2020. But yeah.
Did you hear season 2's ending beginning already for Beastars? Because that's really good too.
I did too. I heard the beginning, and it was like I watched it, and I was like, I love Wild Side more, but I was like, this is still really good.
Yeah. Have you seen the new Jujutsu Kaisen opening that literally dropped before we started recording?
I saw a bit of animation, but I didn't see the opening itself. So no, I need to check that out.
I'm not going to watch it until I see the episode. I don't know.
Tomorrow?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Exactly. That's why. So I'm just like going to let myself be surprised and just have it be one thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So
and
you go.
I'm excited for this arc to be animated as well because I was reading it and I was like, this is gonna be fun. It's just like because this chapter, like this arc, made me go like, Panda's my favorite character in this entire thing. Panda's the best character.
Yeah. So the thing about Jujutsu's openings is when the first opening dropped and it came out that it was directed by the legendary Shingo Yamashita, everyone was like, oh my god, how did they get him to do an opening? Because the only other opening he ever did was a Naruto one, and Naruto was super high profile. And like on the production side of things, Naruto was infamous for drawing in talent, right? Because it was such an idiosyncratic production. And people were like, how did they do it? And it turned out like Akutami, the author, had specifically requested him. And people were like, okay, so opening one is going to be the best opening. Nothing's going to be able to top him. So they figured the only person who can top Shingo Yamashita is just hiring him again.
Yeah, Shingo Yamashita. Yep.
Yeah, because the second opening is just him again, and it's arguably better, I would say, in terms of like composition. It's amazing. Like it's
like the bits of animation I've seen from it so far. It's just like that. It already looks way better with a lot of the things.
It is so good. Like the only problem I have with it, there's like a little fight scene in it, and it feels a bit too slow. Like it doesn't have that snappiness. It's more like and not but yeah, no, it's amazing. But as it stands right now, since this is technically a 2021 opening, Jujutsu Kaisen's Kaikakitan and Jujutsu Kaisen's Lost in Paradise are just so iconic.
Lost in Paradise is just absolutely like, as soon as that came, I kind of forgot about this anime. Did Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken come out this year?
Yes. I think so.
I believe so.
Oh my god, that feels like a million years ago.
Yeah, because that one came out at the very beginning. And that one, like, I have a love-hate relationship with what's the animator's name?
Easy Breezy. Oh no, sorry, I thought you were talking about the opening song.
No, I love the song. Yeah, I love the song and the end thing. Who's the animator who did Devilman Crybaby?
You mean Masaki Yuasa?
Yes, Masaki Yuasa. I have a love-hate relationship for his stuff because I loved Pong. I loved Ping Pong. Like, that was amazing. I absolutely loved that. But everything else he's done, I always am like, it's good, but there's a lot of things I don't like. Like, there was a lot of things. Like, for Devilman Crybaby, I loved the original Devilman. Like, it's one of my most iconic manga to me. I'd say it's right. If I listed the top, my favorite manga of all time, it'd be Berserk and then Devilman. Like, I'd just say those would be my favorite manga, like, essential, most influential manga of all time. And so I was super excited to see this adapted fully, and instead of just being some dumb OVA that had such a funny dub. And his animation is amazing. Like, he was adapting it extremely well. Like, it was in a modern setting. It's like, it's awesome. But he adds things that I don't like. Like, a lot of he has a flair of like adding dumb raps and like and jokes and like animation styles, and I'm just like, it's both annoying and I don't like as well. And that'll lead into another anime that came out this year. Japan Sinks 2020.
Oh, okay.
Which, Netflix original, and I like it a lot. I think it's very stupid. Okay, like, I appreciate it from like I've watched it because Kensho Ono was in it. That's why.
Okay.
Basically the plot of it is it's Japan Sinks. So basically a giant earthquake happens in Japan to where the island starts to sink and disappear under the water.
Within like 2 weeks.
And it's basically like a disaster movie. So
but it's based on a book that came out like in 20th century, like I think in like 1970 something.
Yeah.
And it's a modernized version, so kind of a reimagination.
So kind of like the same way as Devilman was, a modernized version of a classic kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he does the same thing. It's basically take the things from Devilman Crybaby that I hated, like the raps, the dumb character interactions, the dumb just the stuff he adds that kind of was dumb to me, and it just put that, and that's it in the anime. And it's also surrounded by this entire story of just like these, like, oh, family is still survived and together, like they're still together, and all these, it's kind of like Walking Dead, how like there's a survivor group, and then one by one everyone starts dying, like everyone starts dying in their own way and sacrificing themselves, and by the end, like seriously, after the first death I knew exactly where this entire story was going to end. And like, I'm going to even spoil it for you because I don't think anyone should watch it, because it's I hate it. I literally hated it at the very end. But it's like, it's basically a family together, so a daughter and a brother, like a little younger brother. Character. The daughter's the main character, and she's a bitch, just flat out bitch.
She's like 14.
That's a bitchy age.
Yeah, and she's only characters, like, she complains about everything. And like. She literally gets her dad killed. Like, her dad dies from an explosive because she was being a bitch.
Yeah,
she
because
got
she
another
didn't
girl
want to eat a hawk that they killed because she saw it alive, and she was like, "No, I don't want to eat that." So her dad went into a yam field and just dug up some fucking mines. It was hilarious.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. And like, there was such a cognitive dissonance, but also like, she got another girl killed because she was kind of annoyed with her, and then they both go off to do something. She gets killed by, like, I don't know,
there's some stupid gas. It was
breathing
gas.
in sulfuric gas, like sulfuric acid. Just like, she got so many people killed, and and it's like, okay, her own mom, like, literally everyone died who was around her except her little brother. So like, at the end, like, there was a whole group of people, like a whole big group of people together, and like, as soon as I saw the whole character dynamic, I was like, I know exactly how this is going to end. It's going to end with everyone dead except the girl and maybe the little brother, because I kind of was expecting, oh, they're going to try to do a gut punch at the very end where the little brother dies in her arms or something like that. It's like, they're trying to try to make this as sad as possible. Everyone's dying and it's depressing and things like that, and it's just like. And it did. Literally everything I said was going to happen happened, and it was It wasn't interesting. It wasn't fun to watch. It was annoying. Yeah, it was annoying. The only times I was laughing is whenever someone died, because it was usually in a stupid way. Yeah. It was always either dumb or comedic.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
Well, you say you have a love-hate relationship with Yuasa. I have half of that. If I know Yuasa is in something, I'm not watching it. Like, I despise Devilman Crybaby with a passion.
Thank you! Gosh, it makes me so happy to be able to talk to someone how much I do not like a lot of the things with it.
The thing is, because
right? I say with Devilman Crybaby, the best parts about Devilman Crybaby are the things adapted from Devilman.
Yeah, because, like, I have no history with Devilman. Like, none whatsoever. I didn't know it existed before Crybaby came out. And, like, when I first saw, like, the art style for Devilman Crybaby, I was like, okay, it's going to go the Mob Psycho route, where you have a very simplistic style, and you're going to compensate by moving it a lot.
Yeah, great animation.
Yuasa animates simple art styles as if he's animating a TV anime. Like, half the time, shit just doesn't move. And that was the first thing that really annoyed me. And then, I'm sorry, Devilman Crybaby is the definition of fake deep. Like, it just goes into, like, this big soliloquy about, you know, people and life and death, and then at the end it's kind of just like, okay, the devil was bad and he got punished for it. Like, ooh.
And it's fine because Devilman was the first one to ever do that in manga. Like, it was the first ever to go deep. Like, we wouldn't have Berserk if we did not have Devilman. Like, that's why it's so kind of simplistic to look back at it now. But if you read the original manga, like, which I did after I finished Crybaby, because it was kind of like I watched Devilman Crybaby first, and then because I've watched a bit of the OVAs, but I knew about Devilman's kind of story, but just I went and get back to read it, and I was just like, this manga is so much better at just describing these things, because it didn't feel nearly as preachy as Devilman Crybaby was, because Devilman Crybaby was super preachy with it, and like it got really annoying. Like, I love the animation. He's a fantastic animator. Like,
he's the director. He doesn't animate.
Oh, he doesn't animate any of things?
I think he's a director mostly. He might animate, but what I know of him is that he's a director and a producer. He's the creative mind, but he isn't the hand on the paper as far as I'm aware.
Mm. I think he isn't. He is an animator, I think, but he does, and he has a certain like his productions have a certain
but that's
style to it.
I think that's more because he oversees the animation, not necessarily because he is an animator.
Yeah,
himself.
he doesn't do.
I don't know. I don't research people I don't like. So
yeah, like I said, the only thing I've liked from Yuasa is ping pong, and even then it would be kind of too much for me sometimes. I'll be like, this is going too far with animation style.
Yeah,
so it's.
I also think what really bothered me with Devilman Crybaby was just like it was so gory and so like full of nonsensical sex scenes, and I was like, I'm not learning anything new here. I'm not being entertained. Like, okay, like, it's for the tone or whatever, but
even in the original Devilman, like they made it to where it's like, there was like a lot of nudity and sex kind of thing, but it was also kind of just the show is like. Yeah, but this is the debauchery of the devil kind of thing. Because, I mean, like I said, this was back in the 1970s or something.
Yeah.
You don't really show that stuff. So it was also kind of trying to be groundbreaking in that way. Just being able to be taken more seriously. But it's just...
Yeah, because the thing is, right, like Devilman as like a property definitely could benefit from a tone like that. Like I'm absolutely not a prude like against sex or gore or whatever. But... you kind of have to earn it with your content to, be able to have that tone come together and coalesce into something that is actually good. And I feel like with Devilman, it rode the line so much between being preachy and being goofy to the point of just nonsense, where all the gore and sex just felt like it didn't add much, right?
Yeah. So yeah, the thing with the original Devilman is like it was kind of like it had that kind of lighthearted goofiness at the very beginning, but then once it switched, like it was kind of like how it's kind of like set up how Chainsaw Man and Berserk is. It has that goofy, lighthearted tone at the beginning to where you're more interested in the characters because it was more like a battle shonen. Like he's the Devilman, he's going to beat these bad guys up. But then eventually there's that one thing that happens that turns everything on its head, and now it's become a dark drama. Same thing with Berserk and everything. It's like it was fun, but then like the betrayal of Griffith happens, and then it changes the entire story around. Things like that. That's not what happened with Devilman. Like that's where a lot of that trope kind of came from. Was from Devilman and how it did it.
Yeah, and I mean, oh, you go.
No, it's just like, yeah. Whenever it's one of the first ones to ever do it. It's not gonna be nearly as good. And going back to it, it's not because like Berserk did it way better, Chainsaw Man did it way better, like. A bunch of other shows will do it better, but it's the one that set the trope, and it's like the one that started it all. And I saw like, while watching it, I was like, there are things I liked because they adapted, because I was really happy to see the ending adapted finally, but it was just, it still didn't feel right. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I've said this on numerous occasions, like, Devilman was like the very first like really big popular anime where I just watched it and I'm like, am I crazy? Am I just insane because I can't get anything out of this? Like I finished episode 10 and I was like, I just wasted time. Like I feel depressed because I wasted time of my life that I'm not going to get back. And yeah, I mean, such is the experience, right?
Yeah. And I mean, this entire, like, we were just meant to talk about Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken, but I watched it and I was like, the anime, like, it was the same thing it was the same complaint I had with all of Yuasa's work. It was like, the animation is fantastic, absolutely stellar animation, some animation sequences that were fun, but I don't remember anything from this. Like, it's like, because I was hoping, like, because the idea was like, oh, these girls are trying to make their own anime with nothing, like, kind of thing. And it was like, they go over a little bit of it, but eventually like the first few episodes, I was really intrigued because they were going through the entire process of how to start this anime. But then they just skip over so much from it. And it's just like things that happen that are like very fortunate. Like, oh, we have this one random person in our school who has a library of sounds because they love recording sounds because they're that quirky kind of guy. So they can do all the audio production for us. It's like it got to like it didn't really focus so hard on the hardships of animating something. It just went to they're animating something. Yeah, it's kind of hard. This is the reason why it's hard somewhat. And then they just skip past the entire process of making an anime. Like it's just, it's not what I wanted, I guess. And it really, I loved it at first, and then at the end I was like, no.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Whenever I see like the animation side of Annie Twitter gas something up, that's when I know I probably don't have to watch it, because usually what they tend to flock to are these really weird one-season series that have a really talented staff, but that's all they care about. So,
it's rare to get a Mob Psycho 100 season 1 and 2, like, or especially season 2. It's rare to get such a quality story, characters, but also very quality animation. Like, Mob Psycho 100 season 2 is one of probably my favorite just anime seasons in general. Like, it just was perfect almost. Like, I had no complaints from it at all. It was perfect.
Okay. Guess I have to try getting into it again, because I've still not managed. I think I gave season 1 3 tries, and every time every time I think I got to episode like 3 or 4, and then it's kind of the same with me in Haikyuu, right? Like I just watched the first couple of episodes and I'm like, that's neat, and I just forget about it and never continue.
So. You just have to get past that barrier, kind of, because very often it's like, especially with Haikyuu, that's when it gets really good, like right after that kind of part, because the introduction seems kind of slow, especially when you've seen it already. Because
the funny thing is about Mob Psycho 100, because I watched One Punch Man whenever it first came out, of course, and then I started reading the manga and I was really excited, and then and it was my favorite thing from 1, and then I was like, Mob Psycho 100 was just a one-off, but now it's alternates where I love Mob Psycho 100, but I've almost completely dropped One Punch Man because I don't really care anymore. Like, I lost a lot of interest in it because it's not nearly as exciting anymore as I thought it was. It was mostly just fights. But Mob Psycho 100 had a lot of the character and the drama and the story. Like, and one even says so himself, like, One Punch Man is more for fun and action and enjoyment, but Mob Psycho 100 was his, like, writing achievement. He loves how he did that. So.
Yeah, I mean, One Punch Man is in itself a interesting story, of course, especially considering the anime, but,
That's a thing for maybe another.
Honestly. So God. I say if we're closing, I think the thing we need to close with is, what are we excited for about 2021? Like anime, things like that. We didn't even talk about video games we played.
Yeah.
We just talked about anime. But
fuck that.
Yeah, we don't have enough time with that.
I'm so tired.
Play Dragon Quest 11. That's it. Like
Animal Crossing: Age of Calamity. Yes. Okay. 2021. I'm excited for My Hero Academia and the rest of Attack on Titan. Hopefully more Haikyuu, but I don't think so. And Stone Ocean. And the Yuri on Ice movie.
Oh yeah,
I recently I binged Yuri on Ice in one day because I was bored. And so now I'm waiting for the movie. I'm really excited for that.
Okay.
What about
also
you?
Studio MAPPA, actually.
Yeah.
Yep.
Honestly, you mentioned a lot of things. I'm excited for My Hero Academia, both the manga and the anime, because they're both really good. My Hero anime with me is very much like love-hate.
Yeah.
It's like 50% being excited, 50% being like, ugh. But, either way, I'm going to have fun with it. Jujutsu Kaisen, both manga and anime. I am really curious to see how far they go with this season. Because, anyone's guess? Attack on Titan, both because I want to see the manga end. I want to see how far this season goes, and I want to see how they solve that. With if it's the second part of the season or if it's a movie. But
I'm whenever I saw how much we had left, like there's only 3 3 chapters left, 3 or 4.
3 chapters, 3, unless he does a double chapter for the final chapter. But
and
yeah,
I assume he's probably going to do a double chapter, kind of, just because of how big it is and how it's. But it's like I'm just looking at where we ended with the last chapter. I'm just like, how is this going to end in 3? Like something major has to happen next chapter, and then the next thing. Like, oh my god, I'm just excited to see how it ends. Yeah,
because also, if he does a double chapter, he'll get to the rounded 140. Because kind of, 139 isn't really an elegant number. But another thing I'm excited for that I don't know if it's going to happen this year, but I hope it does, is Chainsaw Man Part 2 on the Jump Plus app. Yeah. We have no information about that aside that it's set in high school. That's it. So we'll have to see. Over to you, River.
I'm also excited for Dr. Stone season. I think that's airing today, actually, or either today or tomorrow. Dr. Stone season 2 is coming out, and I'm excited for that because I loved Dr. Stone, the first animation. There's things I like. There were things I didn't really like about the anime as well. Like it felt too basic in a lot of ways because I love that manga. Like Dr. Stone is one of my favorite shonen. I think besides Jujutsu Kaisen right now, it's my favorite current running shonen. Like I just love Dr. Stone. And so like I'm actually, because now it's getting to the Stone Wars part of the story, which is I'm really excited for because now it's going to get more action packed a little bit, but it's still going to be fun. So I'm really excited to see that get adapted. Also, Promised Neverland season 2, that's coming out. That's going to be good.
It's actually out already, isn't it?
I think so. Actually, yeah. I think it just came out. Yeah. Beastars season 2, I guess. There's also Shaman King. Like a bunch of things that are just coming back to things.
You're forgetting a big thing. Gintama movie.
Yes! Yes, the Gintama movie is out right now in Japan and is doing well. I've heard good things about it, but of course, same with Demon Slayer, Mugen Train. We have to wait until like a official release, or someone releases it on Blu-ray and someone rips it and be able to put it sub-wise. I'm very surprised about Demon Slayer, Mugen Train not getting any adaptation, like no Crunchyroll subs, no release here in America. Like when you're talking about an anime movie that is the most highest grossing movie in Japan's history, beat Spirited Away. Like why is that not airing here right now? Like I figured that they would at least try.
Koyoharu Gotoge, the author, actually received a commended award from the Japanese government because the movie actually helped Japan get through the pandemic and its economy.
They saved movies in Japan. Like
and I'm just always jealous of you Americans that despite everything you do still get some anime movies in cinema. The last anime movie we got in general cinemas here in Switzerland was Spirited Away. Every single other anime movie has had to be in like a specific small local cinema. So
yeah, because I remember for the My Hero Academia movie, they just said there is no market for this year.
Yeah. Yes, they said no market in response to a, group petition that had 70,000 signatures. Like, bitch, that's a market right there.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not the biggest market, but if you show people that you will offer these things there, like, it will open the market more.
I mean, the Swiss are just racist, Just... No, I mean, it's our government is known for that. Yeah.
Like, I've only seen 2 anime movies in cinema, and they were Dragon Ball Super Broly, whenever that came out, because Funimation pushed hard with the dub and everything. Like, that was a big release, and that did really well here in America. And I was that was one of my favorite cinematic moments, like going to a movie theater and watching it with a bunch of Dragon Ball Z fans, and we were all just hyped as fuck to see like the fusion or Broly come back. It was awesome. And also the last one I saw was Konosuba. Like that one surprised me so much that they brought that movie to America into play in cinemas. I was just like, and so that was one of the funniest things ever to watch And it was subbed. There was no dub at the time. Like that was even more surprising. So you're playing like a subbed movie in the cinema, and I got to watch it whenever it first came out, and it was awesome. Like, I really loved it. It was a great experience. But yeah, that was the last the last Japanese movie that came out. And the last movie I went to go see in theaters was the Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
Which was great. I watched it on
it was one
DVD
of my
later.
That was also one of my favorite cinematic experiences, because whenever I first went to go see it, there was just a bunch of older Sonic fans, like fans that like who are in their 30s who played the games back whenever they were younger, like bringing their kids to watch it. It was just like you felt it's one of those things where it's like, it was meant for the fans, and the fans went to go watch it, and you loved it. It was great.
Yeah. All right, is that it?
I would say so.
I would say so too. Mm-hmm. Okay, then. That was way longer than any of us expected, I think, but it was very fun.
We were excited to talk about this
stuff,
yeah. 2020 has been shit, but hey.
Anime manga
got some fun.
Great.
Anime manga has been absolutely amazing, incredible.
Yeah.
Do you have any last minute recommendations for people like to watch or see before?
Okay, only one, and no reasoning behind it. Just okay. Watch Great Pretender.
Great Pretender. It is good. I second that motion. It's a great series. It needs to be watched by a lot of people. Needs more love.
What about you?
I think I would recommend Jujutsu Kaisen to anyone who hasn't watched it yet, because that's really just it's the quintessential anime this season, I would say.
Yeah,
I'd say so.
Yeah. Get into Attack on Titan if you can. That's also a good one.
Especially now that it's getting close to the end. Kind of it's now the best time to join in on it. Like, join us while it ends together, so we can all cry.
And I also just and before we go off, I just want to thank you guys for inviting me for this.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we should definitely do something like this again. Maybe in a year. We know how we are, but let's see.
Oh, also my last minute recommendation.
Yeah?
Because I gotta recommend an anime. Watch Gintama. It's literally one of the best experiences you'll ever have with a shonen anime. Trust me on that. Just push through. If you think you're having not fun, just watch one episode a day. Trust me, it's worth it in the end. It's worth it.
Okay. Cool. Alrighty. Then, thank you so much for talking. It was very interesting. I hope everyone who listened learned a lot. And just, I don't know, had fun listening.
Subscribe to Juria, subscribe to Oceaniz, subscribe to me.
Subscribe to everyone.
Subscribe to everyone. Links are in the description below. Just click on that right now.
Costs nothing.
Costs nothing.
It's
unless you want
free.
to subscribe to our Patreons or something,
That does cost, but you also get more stuff.
That's true.
Alrighty. Then I wish you a great Jujutsu Kaisen Friday tomorrow.
A great Attack on Titan Sunday.
On Sunday.
A great Shonen Jump Sunday as well, for those who read.
For those who can and want to read, yeah. Alright. Bye.
Bye.